Do you feel like your financial situation is a bit of a blur, that you don't know where you stand and that it's all a little bit like unorganized? The reason might be that you haven't set financial goals for yourself, or that you haven't set them in the right way. Goals are important because they give us a direction and they also tell us where we are at the moment and where we need to go. So in this video we'll talk about how to set financial goals in the right way. And the first thing we're going to do is to set the foundation. We'll go through 10 facts about goals and also their requirements to set them in the right way. Number 1. Writing goals down makes it significantly more likely that you will achieve them than if you just formulate them in your head. And you could do it digitally or analog, it doesn't matter. I personally do a combination of both. I have a financial journal where I write down my goals and also the most important notes. I call it Finanzielle Angelegenheiten, which translates to financial matters. Man, I'm so German. But I also have several digital files where I track my budget and my net worth and my asset allocation. By the way, if you want, you can do this right now with the video. You can just stop the video, go grab a pen and paper, or open the software you use on your computer, and you can start right now. Number 2, we need to be specific. I want to be rich or I want to own a house will not suffice here. Specific would be I want $1 million in net worth, or I want a single house with 2,000 square meters and 5 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms in this area. Number 3, our goals need to be measurable. That's actually the easy part in personal finance because at some point we can just break it down to numbers. And numbers make it very measurable. So for example, the $1 million in net worth is very measurable. If we stick to the example with the house, this would be the time to research how much a house like this would actually cost. And then we have our specific and measurable number, like for example, $800,000. Number 4 is our goals have to be time bound. That means a deadline is required because it gives the goal a sense of urgency and it also helps you to measure. So for example, I want the $1 million net worth in 5 years. Number 5, our goals need to be achievable and we need to be realistic. If we want to achieve $1 million in 5 years and we have an income of $60,000 per year, it's sheer impossible. Not even if you invest 100% of that income at an interest rate of 10% would you come near this goal. So we would either need to adapt the goal, for example, reach the 1 million net worth in 15 years instead of 5, or we would need to find ways to reach that goal, for example by increasing our income. Number 6 is to break them down. So when you first determine a measurable number for your specific goal, this number might overwhelm you. So what we can do is to break the goal down and then create little milestones on the way, and each time we could celebrate the win. That fires up our motivation and lets us stick to the plan easier. And it also gives you the opportunity to adapt your actions when you're not on track to the goal. Number 7 is to prioritize. So if you only have one goal within the financial part of your life, that would be easy because then you can just focus on that one goal. If you have several goals, you need to decide which is the most important one, or at least the 3 most important ones. Number 8 is to create accountability. Now, similar to writing down the goals, having an accountability partner makes it much more likely to achieve your goal. And that can be simply just to share your goals with a friend or with family. And if you want to take it a step further, you could even send them a weekly or a monthly progress report. For example, in an email. Hey, I just wanted to let you know I saved the $1,000 in the last 2 months for the goals that we discussed. Number 9 is to review our goals. That means we have to check in once in a while if we are still on track with our goals. That can be once a month, once a quarter, once a year, for example in your financial journal, or the progress report to your accountability partner would also be a way. And number 10 is visualize. Now this may sound a little weird, but it's very effective. And maybe not directly the next day or the day after that, but over a longer period of time you would probably be surprised on the impact it had. And the visualization can either be just mentally, so you sit down and close your eyes and imagine it regularly, or you could just cut out some pictures and put them in your journal. You could also create a vision board like this on Instagram or on Pinterest. And if you imagine reaching your goals, either in your mind or by looking at pictures, try to include the emotions that you would feel if you would reach those goals. How happy it would make you, how relieved, how secure, how free. That makes it a very powerful exercise. So that were the 10 requirements for setting our goals. For the productivity nerds between you, maybe you recognize the SMART goals hidden within those 10 tips. So now we can talk about what goals to set and how. And I think a good place to start would be to ask yourself, what do I really want? What do I want with my life? Do you want to own a house? Do you want to be debt free? Do you want to save for something specific like a travel or a car? Do you want to save for retirement? Do you want to increase your income? How do you want to live? And the one answer or several answers to this question will be your financial vision for your life, or at least for the next couple of years. And you can make this vision even more powerful when you add your why. So when you come up with your answer, add because. It relates a bit to the visualization because it also means what will be in it for me? What emotions will it trigger? And in a next step, you can categorize everything you've written down into short term, which is 1 to 5 years, midterm, which is 5 to 10 years, and long term, which is longer than 10 years. Which one of your goals whether fits in the short term, in the midterm, or in the long term category? By the way, if you couldn't come up with any financial goals for your life, I think there are 3 that everyone needs to have. And those 3 are to be debt free, to have an emergency fund, and to invest regularly. Your future self will thank you. So for the time being, you can just feel free to use mine. So we now have the vision, the bigger picture. We also have a rough timeline. Now it's time to go through the single requirements for our goals so we can set them in the right way. And we will start by prioritizing. So if you only have one goal, that's easy. You can focus all your energy on that one goal. If you have several, you can ask yourself, okay, which one is the most important? And you can work towards several goals at once. I will show you in a minute. I wouldn't recommend to work on like 10 financial goals at once. You should rather choose maybe the top 3 and you work towards them. And then if you achieve one, you can fill in the next. In the next step, we'll go through the SMART goals. My goal, I want to build up an emergency fund. So the emergency fund is a short-term goal. How can we specify it? We can say, okay, I want to use my expenses and I want to save up 3 months of expenses. Now, I know that my expenses roughly are about $3,000 a month. Then we can ask ourselves, is this measurable? Yes, because now we can take those $3,000 and take it times the 3 months we want to save up, and it's a number. It's $9,000. Now, next we want to time bound it. We want to set a deadline. Let's say we choose December 31st. Okay, now it's not January 1st right now, but just let's pretend it is. And then we can do our calculations, because then we can ask ourselves, is it achievable? The goal is to save $9,000 in 1 year. So it's $9,000 divided by 12 months, and that's $750 each month. If it's doable, perfect. Just set it up. If it's unrealistic, we go back and, for example, change the date. So you know what, 750, I can't do it, but I can do 500 a month. So I just take the 9,000 divided by the 500, and that makes 18 months. So now my deadline for building up the emergency fund is June 30th. An alternative would be to say, okay, I want to reach this goal in 12 months. So I look at my expenses and see where I can cut back. Let's take another example if we don't just have one goal but several goals. Let's say I want to build up an emergency fund and I want to save up for a house. And let's say I can put aside $1,000 a month. Then I can just put 50% towards the emergency fund, which is $500 each month. And I can set the other 50% towards the down payment of the house. And to use percentages is very convenient because you can also use it for 3 different goals. Let's say you want to build up an emergency fund, save for the house, and save for retirement. Then you could say, okay, I will start with 50% towards the emergency fund until this one is full. I use 30% for the house and 20% for investing. And then once that emergency fund is full, you can adapt the percentages and the numbers for the other goals that you want to achieve. And then the last step is to put the goals in action and make a strategy to track them. Because up until now, everything was planning. But now, based on the planning, we can formulate the next action steps. And you can also put that in your journal. That's it. And the nice thing is we already automated this process. So it's very likely that we at least achieve this goal in the time we set for ourselves. And then next you plan the review. So set a date when you're next going to review your financial goals. This could be Sunday next week, or every last day of the month, or every first day of every quarter, and make it reliable by putting it in your calendar. So the real magic of setting goals is that it leads us to take action. And once we've planned the steps, it's easier to do them. And you will also see that your financial goals evolve over time. And that's normal. If your goal indeed is to build up your emergency fund, I recommend this video next. Thank you for watching, and I hopefully see you in the next video. Bye bye.